Everybody, welcome in. It is the weekly mailbag. Normally do it on Monday, but because of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we are doing it on Wednesday. Thanks for joining me. I am Matt Verderame. Of course, I'll be here for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Let's party. A divisional round on tap. You look around the league, and the odds have not shifted much. Chiefs favored by 8.5, Eagles favored by 7.5, Bills favored by 5, and the Niners favored over the Cowboys by 3.5. So I'm going to jump right in and take your questions because usually there's a lot of them. So I'm going to try to just keep up as much as I can, and we can roll from there. So right off the bat, Alex is asking, how would winning the Super Bowl affect Mahomes' legacy, and how would losing to Jacksonville affect Mahomes' legacy? I don't think it would affect it losing to Jacksonville. I mean, maybe in the moment it would, but I don't think long-term it truly would affect his legacy. I mean, Brady lost at home to Mark Sanchez, right? Nobody cares. Lost at home to Ryan Tannehill. Nobody cares. You remember the highs as long as there are enough of them, and I think there will be. I don't think it's going to matter in terms of if they somehow lost to Jacksonville. Now, if they win the Super Bowl, I think it moves him into a top 10 status in NFL history. I really do. 2 Super Bowl wins if he does it, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, maybe at least 1, 2 NFL MVPs. He would be a top 10 quarterback of all time. He's 27 years old. I honestly believe that. All right. Let's see. Let's keep rolling. Mile High says, at this point in the season, it's hard to be anything other than what we've been. What part of our game improves the most in the playoffs and gives us a better chance to win? I think the defense. I really do. The defense has been playing a lot better lately. I think a lot of those young kids are starting to get their feet under them. Veterans knowing they can trust those guys, rely on them, kind of know where they're going to be. I think the defense is going to get better and continue to get better. I think it's kind of peaking at the right time right now. I think you're going to see that group play its best football here over the next month based on the improvements that it's made over the last 5 or 6 games or so. Kyle saying the Jags feel more like the 2020 Browns coming into KC than the 21 Bengals. Bills and Bengals peaked too early. Chiefs versus Niners in the Super Bowl. And Purdy feels more like Jake Delhomme than Warner or Brady. That's interesting. I agree with you. I won't get into the Purdy stuff because I don't know how I feel about Brock Purdy. I agree with you with the Browns-Bengals. I agree. I think they are more like and I got to be honest, that Browns team was more talented. The Browns team was more talented. The Browns team had a great offensive line. Hunt and Chubb in the backfield. They had all kinds of guys that could maul you up. And then defensively, they had Garrett. They had Denzel Ward. That Browns team, I think, was a scarier team in a lot of ways. Special teams, passive D, running the ball, turnovers. You're asking me what I think they would improve on. I told you D. I think they'll be better defensively. Mighty says I'm more terrified of Andy Reid than the Jags. Honestly, I understand your feelings. I don't think you're wrong. Joshua, prediction on Bills and Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to win the game. I think they're better. They're playing better. They have better weapons. They've been better defensively now for 2 months. Von Miller going out just crushed the Bills defense. There was a stat earlier that I saw on Twitter, and I cannot remember for the life of me who tweeted it out, that when they had Miller, they were 4th in the league at getting pressure with a 4-man rush, and without him, they're 27th. And when you watch the film, it matches up. The Bills just cannot get home before guys. And if you can't get home before guys against Burrow and Mahomes, you're dead on arrival. I don't care what the rest of the team does. There's a reason they paid Miller $120 million. Ross is asking, let me see. Okay. Ross is asking Mahomes over under 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Under on the yards, I think he throws for 3 touchdowns. 400's a ton. I think he throws for like 330 and 3 touchdowns. And I wouldn't be shocked if he threw for 4 touchdowns, but I would take the under on the yards, and I'd either push the TDs or I'd go over if you're going to make me take a side. Oldsters Overland, how has your confidence level in the Chiefs changed in winning the AFC since wildcard weekend? No, it hasn't. I think the Chiefs right now and the Bengals are the 2 best teams in the conference, and I still feel that way. I don't. Week to week in the NFL, it's a dangerous game starting to change your opinion on everything. It just is. The NFL, you can look great one week, terrible the next. Look at the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs had to go to overtime to beat Houston. Right? I mean, it happens. They've had weird games against Denver. Then they blow the Raiders out. They killed Seattle. It happens, but the Bills now for 2 months have had issues defensively. That is not a week-to-week thing. All right. Let's see what we got here. Lorenzo, are there any edge rushers the Chiefs could get in the offseason? I got to be honest with you, man. I haven't even looked. I know Deron Payne's a free agent. He's an interior guy. I know it's not a good free agency class. That I could tell you off the top of my head. But no, I think the Chiefs would probably go and draft a guy or maybe even bring back Dunlap on a 1-year deal. I think that's probably the most likely thing. Rasta, do you think Jones will go off in this game? I think he'll have a sack. I do. I think he'll get his first playoff sack. The Jags are going to have a hard time matching up with him inside. Ulfric, hey, Matt, good to see you again. Good to see you too, man. How are you? Realistically, do you think the Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year? All honesty, if I had to pick a team, I would pick them. I would favor them against anybody in the NFC. I think the Eagles and Niners could beat them, but I would favor the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs at this point in the year are better than Buffalo. I wouldn't have said that in September or October. I don't even know if I would have said it in November. I would say it now. I think the Chiefs are a better team. I think the hardest game for the Chiefs would be the Bengals. I think it's a very tough game. But if you're asking me, who would I take to win it? I mean, them, because, again, I just ran through all the reasons, and they play the Bengals at home. Although I got to tell you, if they play the Bengals, I don't know who I'm picking in that game yet. I want to see this weekend. Let's keep rolling. Carter, do you think Hardman's injury has affected his next contract? Yeah, I don't think it's helping. Let's put it that way. I don't think it's helping. They have enough guys. Do they need him? I don't know. I don't know if they need him. It's nothing against McCall Hardman. It's just they have a lot of guys. Patrick says, are you worried a bit about this game? I'm not one to worry about curses, but the last MVP to win the Super Bowl is Kurt Warner. To me, it's not a curse. Look, that's just happenstance. No, I mean, I worry about this game like I'd worry about any playoff game. You can lose. You can lose in a playoff game. It's one-off. Every game in the NFL in the playoffs is Game 7. Every one of them. You are a tip ball away, a bad special teams blunder away. But do I think the Chiefs ought to win this game? Yes. I think the Chiefs are going to have to really fall apart in this game to lose, or Jacksonville is going to have to play the absolute game of its life, and the Chiefs are still going to have to make a few mistakes. Because I always look at games like this. If Jacksonville plays its best and the Chiefs simply play a quality game, the Chiefs are winning the game. The Chiefs are going to have to play a bad football game. And the two problems I think Jacksonville has in this game, they do not have a great secondary, and they cannot get a pass rush. And that is death against Kansas City. That is just not the way you want to have to play against the Chiefs. That would be my 2 cents. Let's see. Mercurial, by the way, I see your comment from Australia. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Happy to provide the content for you. Rasta, how confident are you about our rookies on D for the first play? I kind of alluded to it. I think at this point, look, Karlaftis has played great. McDuffie's been great. I feel pretty good about him, to be honest. I think, if you'd asked me a couple months ago, I would have been nervous. They've assimilated. They've acclimated. They've done a great job. I think they are ready at this point for the moment. I do. And we'll see. You never know until you get in there. But I think based on how they've played recently, I think they're fine. After watching Buffalo and the Bengals in the postseason, has your view of our ability to beat them changed? No, I think Buffalo has not been able to play pass defense for the better part of 2 months now. I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl. I do not think the Bills will beat the Chiefs if they play them. I don't think they're going to beat the Bengals. But they're at least at home. I think if the Chiefs get them in a neutral site in the dome where it's a fast surface, that is a problem. The Bills, one thing about them, they don't handle speedy receivers well. Kansas City's got that, man. Say whatever you want about MVS. He can fly, so can Tony, so can Watson for that matter. Kelsey is not a speedster in terms of receiver. He's a very fast tight end. The Chiefs, I think if the Chiefs get them on that surface, that's a tough matchup for Buffalo, the way they're playing right now. That would be, and the Bengals I still think are really tough, man. I think the Bengals are by far the toughest team left for the Chiefs to play against for a variety of reasons. Raymond says, Jags will be loose and aggressive. That sounds a bit dangerous. I think that's the most dangerous thing about Jacksonville in this game. They have nothing to lose. The Jags can go out and do whatever they want. They can go for it on every 4th down. They can fake punt, fake field goal, onside kick, razzle dazzle. Nobody's going to get on them. It's always hard to play against a team like that. Now, that being said, it could also backfire and they could lose the game by 30 points because of it. So the hard thing for Jacksonville, you can do all that, but when you're on defense, you got to play straight up. And I just don't think they can stop the Chiefs. If they do, I'll give them all the credit in the world. I think if the Chiefs are beaten in this game, it's because the Chiefs make a bunch of self-inflicted mistakes. That's my 2 cents on it. We'll see how it shakes. Jesse, Bengals fan here. Hey, welcome. How are you? Who do you think the Chiefs would rather play, the Bengals or the Bills? I think they'd rather play the Bills. And I'm not saying that with any like inside info, and of course nobody from the inside would say that anyway. I just think the Bengals are a harder matchup. More weapons. Burrow's not as turnover prone. Defensively, they give you a lot of looks. The Bengals are so multiple in the way they play defensively. The Bills aren't. Like, you know what you're getting. And the Chiefs have torched that defense over and over and over when they've played. Even when they lose to them, they put up a ton of yardage. They only scored 20 this year, but a lot of that was because of turnover. Like, the Chiefs moved the ball in Buffalo in that game. And that was when the Chiefs weren't even using Pacheco. They didn't have Tony yet. They barely were using McKinnon. Like, that offense was a shell of what it is now. I think the Chiefs would prefer to play Buffalo, even though it's at a neutral site. Ross, I mean, I just answered your question about the Bills and the Bengals. Luttrell, is there going to be much cap room left if the Chiefs are able to sign Juju and sign Orlando Brown? Look, I think they would tag Brown and sign Juju. Yeah, there could be. They could restructure Mahomes. They could move the money around. They could cut Frank Clark, which would save. I mean, those two moves alone would save the Chiefs $42 million in cap space. So, yeah. I mean, the Chiefs could do both those moves you just mentioned, and if they do the two moves I mentioned, they still have like $40 million in cap. Oregon says, I think both Andy and Spags have been holding back a bit. Can't wait to see what they unleash for the playoff run. I think there's some of that. There usually is, especially with Andy. There's usually, when they get a playoff game, there's usually about a dozen plays. You're, I haven't seen that all year long. So I think there is something to that. I do. Kyle, Herbert is Detroit's Matt Stafford until trade to a competent franchise. I agree with you. And Josh Allen is close to becoming this generation's Brett Favre. Yep. I think you're right on both counts. Allen's an unbelievable talent, but Allen's got to stop with the cowboy shit. Just play football. Like, just be a normal quarterback. I know that takes away a little bit of what made him great. Everybody said that about Mahomes, too. If he starts checking down, it's not who he is anymore. Well, he started doing that, and he threw 5,200 yards, and he's going to be the MVP of the league again. It's fine. Like, stop turning the ball over 2 times a game. Okay? Nobody's turned the ball over this year more than Josh Allen. And as far as Herbert goes, yeah, man, I think you're probably bang on. You're probably bang on. He's really talented, but like, you got to win some of these games. You just do. He's not the main reason that it's not working out right now, but like, he's not helping. Let's put it that way. Shrey, most heartbreaking Chiefs playoff loss you've experienced. Bro, how much time do you have? I was 7 with the Lynn Elliott game. For me personally, it was 2 years later when they lost to Denver. I was 9. I was old enough to be like cognizant of what was happening. And I remember just thinking, this team's going to screw me for the rest of my life. And I was right for about 20 years running. Spades, how worried are you about special teams? On a scale of 1 to 10, about a 12. If there's anything that's going to just absolutely screw them in one of these playoff games, it's that group. Offensively, I think they'll be fine. Defensively, I think they're much improved. If there's one group on the Chiefs that is just begging to screw them, it's their special teams missing a field goal, missing an extra point, fumbling a return, fair catching the ball at the 2. I mean, it's all year long. All year long. Ross, I think McKinnon is going to go off this postseason. What say you? I mean, he's been doing it all year long. I think he's pretty much going to be what he's been, which is a really good receiver, a really good blocker, and a guy who's probably going to find the end zone. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's going to have a good game. He's been a nightmare for teams to defend all season long. The Chiefs have unleashed him. He's been great. Paul DeSantis, hey, man, how are you? It's been mentioned all year, but biggest worry this week, special teams or turnovers. Can I say both? But I would say of the two, in a weird way, special teams, because I feel like Mahomes will be careful with the ball in this game. He's smart enough to know that that's probably the way they would lose. I trust him more than I trust their special teams. So I would say special teams. All right. Who do you believe is the X-factor for the postseason? I'll give you one on each side of the ball. I think Kadarius Tony is on offense. If that guy lives up to his abilities, I honest to God think there might be a game in the playoffs to score 45 points. He's just that talented, and add him to the rest of the team. It's ridiculous. Defensively, I'm going to give you Frank Clark. Frank Clark has done his best work in January and February for the Chiefs. Does he do it again? He's had a good year this year. He's played well this year. Does he take it up a notch? Is it another one of these years with him where he has 3 sacks in the playoffs, 5 sacks in the play? He does that. They're almost unblockable up front. Roster, who is the bigger game, the offense or the defense? Or do you think we'll play sound football around? I actually think they're going to play sound football around. I really do. If you said to me who's going to have the better game, I mean, I have to say the offense. They're just so loaded. They're the best offense in the world. But I think this is a team that's pretty ready for this game. Just based off of, man, they wait all year to get in these playoff games. And one thing about the Chiefs, say whatever you want about them, they win these divisional games. They're 4-0 with Mahomes. And outside of the first quarter against Houston, they've handled business in these games. I mean, the Buffalo game was a great game. They played very well in it. They were pounding Cleveland before Mahomes got hurt, and they still won. They pounded the Colts. After the first quarter of the Texans game, they destroyed them. I mean, I think they're going to be ready in this game. Cody, more of a concern, the Bills' performance against the Dolphins or the Bengals against the Ravens? Oh, God, Buffalo. It's not even close. The Ravens can play defense. They can run the ball. They can be a pain in your ass. You can shorten the game. The Dolphins should have lost that game by 35 points. They're not 17-0, and the Bills let them take the lead in the game. They kept turning it over and all these weird go balls, and all they had to do was complete a 4-yard pass. I mean, the Bills showed you their flaws in that game. I got to tell you, if Waddle could have caught a pass, Miami probably would have won the game. Like, you think about this. Can you imagine if I said to you last week for that game, Miami's going to have 2 turnovers, okay? Both of which, by the way, deep in their own territory. Two turnovers deep in their own end. They're going to drop 1 million passes deep down the field that are not only like wide open, but like big chunk yardage. They're going to blow all their timeouts in the second half, and they're going to have time management issues all day long. What would you have said the score of that game would have been? I mean, all kidding is 51-3. They almost won the game. Like, Buffalo was a wreck in that game. Like, to me, I really think, and by the way, that wasn't too dissimilar from what we saw them do against the Pats the week prior. They had 2 return touchdowns, and they still were like hanging on for dear life going into the fourth quarter. They have not played. They are regressing right now. The Bengals, I think, just had a tough game on their hands. I don't think that was true of the Bills. I really don't. Okay. Luttrell, the lack of talent in the free agency class and some of the cap room the teams have might make it hard for KC to improve outside the draft. I'm just going to try to swing a trade. Spread features MO, man. Makes big moves. Anthony Arvin, hey, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you. How do you feel our offensive line does against the Jags or other teams going forward in these playoffs? I think the offensive line, the biggest challenge would be the Bengals with Hubbard and Hendrickson and then Reeder inside. The Bills don't have any pass rush that scares me right now. I respect Rousseau. Epinesa is a halfway decent player. Without Miller, I just don't think the Bills are going to get a lot of pressure on Mahomes. I don't. In Jacksonville this year, their leading sacker is Josh Allen with 6 sacks. Roy Robertson-Harris, a good player inside, but I think he has 3 sacks. They just don't threaten you in that way. I think, in fact, a big reason I think why the Chiefs are going to move the ball in this game, I just don't think Mahomes will be under a ton of pressure. I think to get him under pressure, they're going to have to blitz. And if they do that, it's going to be just an absolute boat racing down the field. So I feel pretty good about the front. Whiplash, you worried our front 4 won't get home throughout the playoffs? No, I'm not. They've been great the last couple of months. This is the best front 4 the Chiefs have had since they won the Super Bowl. And they had Jones and Clark playing great, and they had Suggs on the other end. This group to me, and this might even be better, because Dan has really been good this year when he's been healthy, and he's finally healthy. Jones has been incredible. It's the best year of his career. Karlaftis has been awesome down the stretch. I mean, Karlaftis last 6 weeks of the season is one of the best pass rushers in the entire NFL. And then you got Dunlap, so Wiley vet, and Clark. They got a lot of guys, man. I think they're going to be fine up front. I think it's a huge key, but I think they're going to be fine. Will Tobe get his crap together on special teams this postseason? I have no reason to think they will. They've been a mess the entire season. So, no, I don't think they will. I think you're just going to have to deal with it. Shane Falco, enjoyed your movie. What has been the most pleasant surprise in defense this year? What's been the biggest disappointment on defense this year? The disappointment for me is easy. The safety play, Justin Reed, has been much better. I will say this. The last month, he and Juan Thornhill have been much better. But the majority of the year, their safety play left you scratching your head. And I would say taking Gay off the field on third down drives me out of my mind. Most pleasant surprise, the rookie corners, especially the Williams and Watsons of the world. I think they've been awesome. I think they've played really, really well. Okay. T says the Chargers blowing the lead against the Jaguars. What's the difference when the Chiefs did it against the Bengals last season? Well, for one, it was a 27-point lead. The Chiefs were up 11 points at halftime. I mean, and I get they're up 18 at one point. The other thing is, let's be real, the Bengals are a much more talented team than Jacksonville. Okay. I mean, even last Bengals had weapons coming out their rear end. Jacksonville does not have that. I mean, Christian Kirk is their best receiver. On the Bengals, what is he? He's their third receiver, and he's behind Mixon probably in terms of their most dangerous players, and he's the best weapon on Jacksonville. And he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but that just proves how good Cincinnati's talent is. Like, the Jags have talent. Zay Jones, good player. Evan Ingram has been excellent for them this year. Etienne's a really good running back. I think Lawrence is going to be a very good quarterback for a long time. I'm not saying Jacksonville doesn't have talent, but Cincinnati, I think, is the best weapons in the NFL. I mean, they just, maybe along with the Niners, they just have a lot of guys who can throw at you. That would be my feeling on it, in being honest. The Chargers were a mess in that game. Lucrative says, what Chiefs player that isn't a star do you think could break out in the postseason? Example, Damian Williams in 2019. It's a good question. It's a tough question. I mean, does Tony count? Kadarius Tony? If he counts, I'll say him. Otherwise, how about this one? Mike Dana. Mike Dana has been playing his ass off when he's been healthy this year. I would say Mike Dana on defense. Jeremy, hey, man, how you doing? In recent memory, outside of QB, can you remember an injury that fundamentally changed the team's Super Bowl chances like we're seeing with the Bills and Von Miller? That's a great question. Not off the top of my head, I can't. I mean, if I looked, maybe I could. Not having him is just, it's devastating. They were so good early in the year. It's just, they would collapse you with him and Rousseau coming off the edges because Miller got the doubles and he got the chips and he got the attention, but he's so great he could still beat it. And then you had Rousseau. Now Rousseau's getting those chips and the occasional double, and they're not beating you any other way. It's a problem for them. It's a huge problem for them. John, Jags fan here. Hey, man, how you doing? Welcome in. Best of luck this weekend. Mighty, safeties in DC are the only questionable spots on our defense at this point. I agree. The front seven's ridiculous. I think nationally nobody really fully recognizes it because it's like, oh, Willie Gay and Nick Bull. No, listen. That defense up front is no joke. I think you look at this Chiefs stats over the course of the year. And it's like, okay, the Chiefs up front. And by the way, Jacksonville has great linebackers as well. But the Chiefs defensive front is serious. All right, let's keep it rolling. Kyle, do you think because Andy knows Peterson, he's less likely to overlook them out of respect? Can see them sleepwalk first half down by 3 and still win, score 5 times on the first 7 drives. You know what, man? I don't think they're going to sleepwalk in this game. It's a playoff game. And to be fair to them, they have not done that in the playoffs. The only game I could say they did that against was Pittsburgh in the wild card round, and they still were up 14 points at halftime. I mean, actually, I should take that back. The other game, obviously, was that Texans game in 2019, where they made a million mistakes. They've done it, I guess, a few times, to be fair. I don't know. I think they respect Jacksonville. I think after what they just saw them do to the Chargers in that comeback, I think Jacksonville has their attention. Roster, you worried about the turnovers? It scares the living shit out of me. Yeah, man, of course. I mean, if the Chiefs lose this game, it's going to be because of stuff like that. I guarantee you. Super chat from Whiplash. Hey, thanks a lot, man. What's the over-under on the number of holding calls from Carl Cheffers in the Bills-Bengals game? 27. Good luck to Bills-Bengals fans dealing with that. Holy hell. All right, let me catch up here a little bit. Let me catch up. White, is Ross playing? Can he play? No, he won't be out there. No. Ryan, I think the craziest line for this weekend is Bills -5. What are your thoughts on that? I think it's a big worry of the Bengals O-line. Bengals O-line is a huge concern. To me, that's the X factor. If the Bengals block, they're going to win. If they can't block, it becomes a problem, obviously. I think that line's too high. I think that line should make 2.5, 3 points. That would be my 2 cents on that one. Ronald, hey, Matt. With the injuries and how they played last week, which team do you see winning, Bills and Bengals? Thanks for the great content. Thanks, Ronald. I said it earlier. I think the Bengals will win the game. I don't think the Bills can take advantage of the beat-up offensive line. I don't think they can cover the Bengals. I think Anarumo is one of the best defensive coordinators in football. I think he's going to give Josh Allen a million different looks, make him hold the ball a little bit, make him throw into some tight windows. I think it's a tough one for him. I do. Mile High says Orlando B seems to be playing better, still unnerving on some pass pro. How much of a liability do you think he is? I don't think he's that much of a liability. I think he's been much better the last 2 months. I think early in the year, quite honestly, he and Trey Smith are dealing with some injuries. It's not an excuse. It is what it is. You're out there. You got to play well. I'm just giving you my 2 cents on this. I think he's been much better. He scares me. Speed rushers who can really turn the corner on him always scare you a little bit because he's much more of a mauler. But I think he's okay. I'm not too worried about Orlando Brown. John says, if the Jags beat the Chiefs, where would we play? John, I think you'd probably be going to Cincinnati. That's my guess. Shrey, why was Scott Pioli such a bad GM? Shrey, it's too much time of the day, man. Because he was incredibly controlling. He warred with his head coach. He couldn't get the quarterback right. He was not well liked in the building. But other than that, he was perfect. 619, you're back. I actually respect the hell out of it that you're here. You either are trolling the hell out of us and you're deep down you're a Chiefs fan, which is a great gag at this point, or you're a Chargers fan. And I give you all the credit in the world for coming back after talking all kinds of crap all last week, and then just a travesty of a football game. Really well done by the Chargers. Just awesome football. I'd like to say thank you to the Chargers for giving me a hell of a Saturday night to enjoy. Orlando, do you think MVS finally gets a deep ball TD? I'm going to say no. I think the Chiefs kind of go with a more controlled attack. Spades, I'm really upset about not seeing Hardman and Tony on the field together. Could you speculate on what's going to happen to Hardman? I don't know if he's going to play again this year. I can tell you, talking to people in the building, they were hesitant to put him on IR to begin with. They thought this was like a 2-week injury. And this is just going on and on and on and on and on. I think that's kind of where we are with this. I think it's just worse than they thought. I think Hardman's working hard to get back. I don't think it's a matter of him not work. I just think it's an unfortunate thing. I think that's kind of where we're at with this one. I don't know if he's going to play again this season. I don't know. I don't know if they know. So I don't want to say anything that I'm, out of turn on. That's just my honest feeling. DS, how do you feel about the number of snaps Justin Watson gets? He gets too many of them. But they trust him, and Mahomes trusts him. So who am I to say? Listen, it's working. Their offense is ridiculous. I can't really bitch about it. You think they should give more snaps to Sky Moore? I think that's a 2023 thing, man. I don't think he's getting more snaps at this point. It's too late in the game. Nikhil, hey, Matt. Big fan from Reading, England. Thanks. Awesome. I'm glad to see you from the pond. I was wondering who you thought should be coach of the year. I actually just voted for this for the Pro Football Writers Association. I went with Brian Daboll, man. I think he's the coach of the year. I think he's done an unbelievable job for a team nobody thought could win anything. Shane, besides Kelsey, which skill player has the most yardage for the playoffs? Juju. Well, actually, if you're asking me receiving yards, Juju. If you're asking me just total yards, I might go off the board of Pacheco. Clip says, won me $750 on a $12 bet with that DeMarcus Robinson play on that sleeper article you wrote. Hey, where the hell's my cut? I got to tell you, Clips, I got 10% coming to me. Don't forget, I'm an Italian from New York. I got to get my taste. All right, Brady, what do you believe is the likelihood that Juju will be resigned this offseason? High. If you're him, why would you leave? And if you're the Chiefs, you got the money. Why wouldn't you keep him? Why wouldn't you keep him? Doug, Matt, your thoughts on Furious George? What he'll do in the playoffs? Love the content. Thanks, man. I think he's going to just keep rolling, man. I don't know if he's going to get a sack a game like he's been doing the last month and a half, but I think he's going to be a real force. I think he does a hell of a job. I really do. And I think he's just going to – look, the problem with these other – is the Chiefs have so many guys right now up front that can beat you. He's not going to get doubled. And he's learned how to turn power to speed and convert it. And when you can do that, man, you're good at both. And he's starting to show that. Good night. He's done a hell of a job. Patrick's asking, hey, Matt, what position do you see the Chiefs taking with their first pick? I got to see what they do in free agency. I would tell I'll put it this way. I think right now their biggest need, thankfully this team doesn't have many of them. I wouldn't hate seeing a tackle, man. A right tackle. I wouldn't hate seeing a safety if Thornhill walks. Maybe an edge rusher if they cut Clark. Those would be the three spots I'd give you best available. Whiplash. Thanks, Matt. You're welcome. You got it. Jose, you think we'll see consistency in the second half of the game on offense? I hope it's not the 3 points or so all second half. Yeah, man, I don't think they're going to be laying off the gas here in the second half of this game. I would expect that the Chiefs are going to, especially after what happened last week with Jacksonville, I think you're going to see a Chiefs team that's pretty hell-bent. That's what I would say. All right, let's see. Do you believe, Whiplash is asking, do you believe the Chiefs will play the role of the vulture after the Bills and Bengals game, or do you see the AFC Championship game is going to be a dogfight? Oh, I think it's going to be a brawl. Oh, those teams get up for each other like nobody's business, man. Those are tough games. I think that game will be a very, very tough game, no matter who they play. I do think the Chiefs match up better at this point with Buffalo, but I think it's not going to be, no matter who wins, man, it's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. KL368, do you think the players bring a little extra because of the Cisco hits last game? No, but I think if they have an opportunity to drive him into the ground on a block, they're going to do it. That I think. That for sure. Chiefs, do you think we'll run the ball more? No. They don't care to run the ball more. Jacoby, one player for the Chiefs will have a breakout game this weekend. I'm going to keep banging the drum, man. Kadarius Tony. He, by the way, played really well against Jacksonville. It was the second game with the Chiefs. He played very well. I would say that. Mike, do you think CEH takes snaps away from Pacheco and McKinnon? No, not at this point. Don't. Clips, Cash App. Clips. I'm just giving you crap, man. I'm glad you won your bet. I'm glad my article could help a little bit. I don't want your money. I'm glad I could help you win a little bit of money, but you're the man for that. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. My producer saying, my producer says super chat. You keep that. You keep your money. You keep your money. So I want you to take that money, and if you got kids, spend it on the kids. Sheree saying, what are your thoughts on the 2010 Chiefs and what happened in their wildcard game against Baltimore? Yeah, I was going to say, geez, man, you're killing me with these. Oh, my God. The last thing I want to do is think about the Chiefs playoffs past. What do I think? I mean, Jamal Charles got hurt, and they couldn't do shit. That's it. That's the entire thing. Johnson says, is Clyde coming back this week? I don't think he'll be back. They just start practicing, man. I don't think you're going to see him for a while yet. Maybe the Super Bowl. Jason, hey, Matt, do you think Andy Reid will see how well the run game worked against the Bengals in the Ravens game? They uses Pacheco more. If they play the Bengals, they better run the ball or they're losing. I'm telling you, guys, I will go on the record with that right now. I don't even need to waste time with this. If they don't run the ball against Cincinnati, they will lose the game. I promise you they will lose the game if they don't run the ball. Quentin, what's up, man? Keep up the great work, bro. Thanks, dude. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Let me make sure I'm caught up. Wolfpack, do you think if the Chiefs get past the Jags, how close will the game be with either the Bills or the Bengals? I think the Bills game, I think the Chiefs are better. I really do at this point. I think it'd be close, but I think they're better. I don't even know who I'd pick with that Bengals Chiefs game, man. On one hand, I genuinely think the Chiefs are a better team, but the Bengals just wear their ass out. Every time they play them, they beat them. I'd have to really think long and hard. Right now, I think that'd be a 50-50 game. What's the key to this game defensively for the Chiefs? Choke off the short stuff. The Jags do not throw deep down the field. It's a lot of stuff underneath. It's a lot of quick stuff. 2.5 seconds of Lawrence having the ball. He does not deal well with pressure. If you can choke off the short stuff and make him hold the ball a little bit, I think you're in really good shape. But you got to be able to do it. Jesus says CEH is done in KC, right? Maybe. I mean, he's got 1 year left in his deal, but I wouldn't be shocked if we've seen the last of him in Kansas City. Any worry about our special teams in the playoffs? Oh, bro, yeah, big time. Brady, how much did you laugh when you saw the second half meltdown by the choking Chargers? Let me put this. When they were down, when Jacksonville was down 27-0, I can honestly tell you, I never thought to turn the television off because I genuinely felt to myself, it's the Chargers. This is 100% going to become a football game at some point here. I didn't know if they'd blow the whole game, but I absolutely thought it would be a circus. And let me tell you, they didn't disappoint. So I'm not surprised. I am not surprised at all. That's how I'm looking at this. By the way, let me really quickly get a read here. Just bear with me. Pay attention. It's important. We're working with BetMGM, and I've got a promo for all you guys here who cover or who watch our Arrowhead Addict stuff. If you bet any $10, if you bet $10 on any divisional round team, whoever you want to, the 8, doesn't matter. You win $200 as long as one touchdown is scored using the code Arrowhead. Okay, code is Arrowhead. $10, any divisional team, one touchdown scored, you win $200. No catches. Okay. Now, I will read the disclaimer. And by the way, before I do, let me just say, guys, look, I always appreciate the support you show me and all my co-hosts here. Okay. Using our promo code Arrowhead is a great way to support Arrowhead Addict. If you guys want more content, you want more stuff from me, you want more stuff from Adam and Patrick and Matt Connor and Sterling, okay, and even old man Verderame, like this is how you're going to, we get help from you guys doing this. We get a small fee from BetMGM for each new bettor that uses the code. If you don't have a BetMGM account, do us a solid and sign up and use that code. It's $10. It's a $10 bet. And it's the easiest $200 you can ever get as long as one touchdown is scored. And now, stick with me through the legalese real quick. I'm going to try to read this like they do in the commercials. They speed the voice up. I will tell you that the offer is no longer valid in Illinois, Maryland, Louisiana. Apparently, I was creating a state, and Kansas. Okay, which I know sucks, but if you live in Missouri, you're still good to go. New customers only, 21 and up, and present in select states. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credits. Free bets expire in 7 days from issuance. See full terms at betmgm.com. Gambling problem? This is my favorite part. Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Wyoming. 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado or Kansas. 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 888-789-7777 in Connecticut. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-877-770-STOP. 7867 in Louisiana. Call, text TN Redline or 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee. Or 1-888-532-3500 in Virginia. Just for me reading it that fast, go to betmgm.com, put down $10, bet to win $200, and use the Arrowhead code. Come on, just for that alone, $10. All right, we're back. John says, "Hey, sorry, John, I don't know what you're saying here. Hey, you would do if the Jags win. What would I do? I'd be surprised, and I'd give the Jags a lot of credit." Okay, let's see here. Clip says this is the absolute peak of the Bengals. Their year to win it. Like us, the year we lost to the Bucks. Bro rookie deal. Higgins is gone in a year, and defense goes bye-bye with Chase deal. Listen, I know what you mean. Like the Bengals, this is a great time for them to win. It's fair. I'll tell you right now, too, it's time for the Bills because next year Allen's cap hit goes from like 17 to 42 million or something. If the Bills don't win this year, it's going to become a lot tougher for Buffalo going forward. Let's see. KL. I'm sorry. I don't want to miss anything here. Things moved on me for a second. Whiplash. How much thought have you given to the fact that the Chiefs drafted Hardman over Metcalf? None. It happens all the time. All the time. You know, I mean, yeah, it'd be great to have DK Metcalf. They don't. They have plenty of guys. You know, I mean, and how many times did the Chiefs draft a guy like Nick Bolton or Creed Humphrey in the second round over some guy who ended up being a total bust who was higher rated on a lot of boards? The Chiefs draft really well. I can't worry about that. I just can't. The Major, do you think Chris Jones gets his first playoff sack Saturday? I do. KL368, you wouldn't go interior defensive line early in this year's draft. I'd like to get a force next to CJ, even if that's a rookie learning. I'll tell you what. You know what I would do? I'd call up Deron Payne's agent and make an offer to him. I think the Chiefs have one big free agent move in them this offseason. That would be it. Can you imagine that freaking guy next to Chris Jones with Karlaftis on the outside? Good luck. John says, if the Jags win, do you think we would beat the Bills or the Bengals? I wouldn't pick the Jags to win that game, but if they beat the Chiefs, man, all bets are off. All bets are off. If they let CH go, are they going to keep Rojo? Nah, I think they're probably both gone. Do you think Spags will start leaving Gay in on third down in the playoffs going forward? No, because he hasn't all year long. Nope, I don't think he's going to change now. I think he should, but I don't think he will. KL says, if we get more Mr. V content, I'll be using that code this week. Hey, you got to do it really quick. And I'm not just like trying to be that guy, but like, you know, it's only active for so long. Don't worry. I'll get my father back on here at some point. We'll make it happen. Okay. You got that as a promise. Jay Ward, why are they so reluctant to run more? Because of who their head coach is. That's why. That's why. He does not want to run the ball. Doug says, Matt, 3 keys to victory against the Jags. Win on third and fourth down defensively. You got to be able to probably play 4 downs here in some points. Don't lose the turnover battle. And be a third one. Play a competent game on special teams. If they defensively are good on third and fourth down and they don't turn the ball over and they are good on special teams, I think they win the game going away. Okay, let's see here. What do we got? Chicago watch party at Renhalli's in Lincoln Park. Verderame, you're always welcome. Sam, that sounds great. The problem is I got to work during these games. And if I was down there, I'd be such a nervous wreck. I can't watch games at bars. I've never been able to. Even in college, I couldn't do it. I get too nervous. I lock myself in my office or I'm at the game. And that's it. But I appreciate it. And one of these days, hey, listen. I'm down to come down to Chicago and have a couple beers. I mean, I only live less than an hour away. Wolfpack. Will the AFC West improve with all 3 West teams versus the Chiefs? I mean, they're supposed to this year. Call me when any of those teams do anything of note. Dylan, do you think the way our defense played the last couple of weeks is good enough to get us over the hump or just a product of poor competition? I think it's a little bit of both, but they played Seattle, who can play offense, who was lighting the Niners up pretty good for about 3 quarters, and the Chiefs dominated them. I know they didn't have Lockett. I don't know that it would have mattered. They couldn't do anything in that game. So I think it's a combination. I do. I mean, the Chiefs have played some worse teams. That's fair. That's completely realistic. But they've also just played really well. I think it's a combination of both. But yeah, I think right now they're doing okay. Who do you see the Bears drafting? I think the Bears are going to trade back, and I think they're going to draft Will Anderson or Jalen Carter to bolster their front 7. Lucas, what do you have to say about the reports you moved to Seattle, obtained the pilot's license, and flew a plane in the shape of the Devils logo? I did see that. That person is a hero. Okay. 619. Man, I thought about you on Saturday night. I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie. Everyone in here should be hoping we don't get Sean Payton. Well, you're not going to get Sean Payton because your head coach is still Brendan Staley, and he's not going there to be your offensive coordinator. So enjoy Brendan Staley, who, by the way, at his press conference today was asked if he thought he was outcoached, and he said, "Well, not in the first half." Brendan, there's 2 halves, my friend. 2 halves. That's why it's a half. It's a whole. The hole would be the donut-sized hole in the game plan that apparently didn't include the last 31 minutes. Okay. Jacoby, Matt, are you afraid at all about this game? Trevor Lawrence never lost on a Saturday. Do you think the Chiefs will cover the spread? I could care less about him on Saturdays. I mean, I don't care. They could play this game he's never lost on Wednesday either, but they're not playing it then. Like, I don't care. Yeah, I mean, I respect the game. I mean, they could lose the game. Jacksonville's good. Like, Jacksonville's a good football team. But if you're asking me, do I think they're going to win? I mean, yeah, I think they're going to win. Do I think they're going to cover the spread? I think they're going to win by about 10 or 11 points. I got my predictions coming out tomorrow, but I'll spoil it for you. I have the Chiefs winning like 34-23, something like that. I think they're just a better team. I think Jacksonville's a real team. I think Jacksonville's on the come up. I think they're going to win that division for a lot of years to come. I love what they're doing. I like watching them. I really do. I think Jacksonville's a year away from being really ready to go in and win this game. But if they do it, kudos to them. Kudos to them. All righty. Let me go a little bit of rapid fire to make sure I catch up. So I apologize if I go a little quick right here. Demetri, do you think Spags is coming with smoke and blitz packages since Lawrence struggles with pressure? No, because he gets rid of the ball so fast. I think they'll blitz a little bit. I think it's more going to be they're going to try to choke off those short routes and make him hold the ball and then win with 4. Jay Ward, are we better converting on 3rd and 10 compared to 3rd and short because we don't run the ball very often? Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Chiefs again, is there some way we can make a move at Max Crosby? No chance in hell. There's a better chance I'm playing for the Chiefs next year. The Raiders have him locked up. He's not going anywhere. Jesus, do you see the Giants upsetting the Eagles? No, but I think they're going to cover the spread. I think it's going to be a really good game. I don't think it's impossible. What can the Chiefs learn from the Ravens if they play the Bengals? You got to be able to run the ball, and you've got to be able to play a little bit of bully ball. You've got to be physical. And that goes for a lot of teams that like to throw the ball. That goes against the Chiefs too. Okay? But I will say this. The Chiefs and the Ravens are two totally different teams. The Chiefs aren't going to play like the Ravens. That's the difference. Yeah, and as my producer says here, don't extend the ball from the 3-yard line on a sneak. God, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. Really is. Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. Ryan, any chance Andy retires on top? We win it all. What would you want if he did? No, I don't think he's retiring. Or who would you want if he did? Whoever Mahomes wants is fine by me. You know what? How about Sean Payton? But he's not going to retire. He's not going anywhere. He loves playing. Shrey's asking, I didn't watch the regular season game between Jacksonville and Kansas City. Why are Chiefs fans destroying Andre Cisco? A lot of Chiefs fans felt like he took 2 cheap shots in the game. One that knocked Juju Smith-Schuster out with a concussion, and another one on MVS that didn't hurt him but stunned him. So that's why you see that. Can we see Mike Dana take Frank Clark's spot when he leaves? I think Dana's a monster. He might increase in the rotation, but I think they're going to bring in another guy if Frank Clark gets cut. Cody, Matt, just bought the AA beer. Thanks, man. That's awesome. I have many of them in my fridge right now, and I've had a few, and they are great. I know you're saying you're waiting until February. You have dry January. Well, you only got a couple weeks left, man. You're going to enjoy it. They're awesome. 619 says no Mike Williams. No, not until September either. Enjoy the offseason. Let's see. Why would the Chiefs go after Cisco? Good idea. I don't think. Look, the Chiefs aren't going to make it a point to go after Cisco. If they get up on them, like if this is a blowout game, so I don't think it will be. But if they blow them out, there absolutely is going to be a point in time the Chiefs are going to try to run the ball out there, pull a guard, or one of those receivers is going to say, that's worth the 15 yards. I'm going to try to hit him in the next month. But I got to tell you, what the Chiefs are going to want to do to Cisco? Put up 50 points on him. That's what they're going to want to do. And they're right for it. That's what they should be looking to do. I don't think there was a lot of love lost to the Chiefs and Jonathan Abram either. And you know what? They just love ripping them up and scoring 1 million points. That's what they like to do. Jay Ward says, it feels like there's always an angle to this type of game. If the Chiefs play their game, they'll win. Yeah, listen, look. I say this with no disrespect to Jacksonville, and I mean this. If the Chiefs play a B+ to an A- game, this game's over. They're winning this game. Like, Jacksonville can do whatever it wants. If the Chiefs play a good, solid football game, they're winning the game. The Chiefs open themselves up to losing if they turn the ball over and they take dumb penalties and they drop a bunch of passes and they miss kicks, then they could lose. They're not losing this game if they play a good, solid football game. They're too good. That's not, again, it's nothing against Jacksonville, but that's reality. Mike's asking, what's the final score? I'd say 34-23. Graham, love your work from Edinburgh, Scotland. Hey, thanks, man. It's awesome. My sister just went to Scotland. She loved it. Could you interview Peter King or vice versa? That would be great. It's funny. I actually did interview Peter King. I've interviewed him a few times in my career. Love Peter. Great guy. One of the nicest people you can meet. I'll reach out to him, see if he'll come on the pod. I'll see what I can do. Are you worried about roughing the passer penalties in the playoffs? Yeah, I mean, because the NFL calls ridiculous stuff. So, yes. Niners or Eagles in the Super Bowl? I'm picking Philly. But I am concerned about their injuries. Jacoby, Matt, you think the Chiefs will pull off any trick plays this week like they did against the Raiders? I think they're going to be pretty straight up in this game. You might see some trickeration in the red zone. I can see that. The Chiefs like to get cute down there. But I think if you're the Chiefs, man, you just want to win. You want to win the game. I think the Chiefs are going to be pretty straightforward, although you might see some wrinkles. But I don't think you're going to see some craziness like you saw in that Raiders game. Patrick, what's your I can't believe this is my job moment? I know you started out a fan above all, back as a blog commenter. Yeah, I did. You're right. Let us live through you a bit. Thanks for your work. Makes the season more fun. Thanks a lot. It's really nice. Covering my first Super Bowl was pretty wild. I covered the Pats Rams Super Bowl. Super Bowl 53. That was pretty awesome. Breaking my first scoop, stuff like that. I think, it's fun because for me, I'll never get jaded with it. I just enjoy what I do. I love what I do. You're right. I mean, I was a fan. I didn't even go to school to be a writer. I went to school to be a play-by-play commentator. And I fell into writing completely on accident. My first real job in writing was working up in the Berkshires in Massachusetts, covering girls' high school basketball. Let me tell you something. Those girls teams, covering them really helped me as a 21, 22-year-old kid, because I watched how passionate they were when they played. They were a great team. They were a dynasty up there, Lee High School, and they lost the game. It was a shocker. They lost, and they were inconsolable on the court. And I remember thinking to myself, if they care this much, then I've got to care this much about covering them. And I never forgot that. It stuck with me. I think it's one of the best lessons I've ever learned. It served me well. But yeah, I would say covering my first Super Bowl, man, talking to Tom Brady after the game, covering the next year when the Chiefs won, sitting there talking with Chris Jones as he's literally got confetti on him, talking to Tyreek Hill, talking with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, like sitting down with Eric Fisher, that kind of stuff. Those Super Bowls, it hits home for sure. In fact, literally just got the credentials through today for this one. So it's always it's an honor that the NFL deems you worthy. Jesus, for the 32nd pick, who are the Chiefs drafting pro? I have no idea. Oh my God, I had no idea. By the way, if you guys want to do something fun, at least I hope it's fun, I'm doing a series every Wednesday. I tweeted out earlier today. Mocking mock drafts. I think mock drafts are the biggest waste of time on the face of the earth. But I'm not going to lie to you. They're great for traffic. People read them. I'd be a damn fool not to have them up on the website that I work for. Okay. But what I'm doing is, instead of doing an actual mock draft, I'm having fun with it. So 32 picks. I'm just putting everybody in their original slot. Last week I did, if you were drafting all-time quarterbacks, top 32, who would you take? And it just goes right down the line. This week, today, I put out day 3 picks since 2010. Those are the only players eligible to be drafted. Who goes? And I'll tell you what, Bears had a choice between Tyreek Hill and Dak Prescott. Just check it out. I had a lot of fun with it. And I'm going to do it every Wednesday up until the draft. It's going to be ridiculous. There's a very good chance at some point I'm drafting kickers. Okay. I am making fun of mock drafts by writing a mock draft. Indulge me. Have fun with it. Okay. Let's wrap up here. Got a few more minutes. Cole, who would you want to face in the AFC title game and why? The Bills, because their pass defense is not as imposing as Cincinnati's, and I don't think they have the weapon Cincinnati does. Why are you so confident the Chiefs could beat the Philly in the Super Bowl? I hope they win the Super Bowl. It's not that I'm overconfident or really. It's just I think they would be favored. I think they're the slightly better team. But I think Philadelphia is the hardest matchup in the NFC for the Chiefs. I do. I think the Niners are actually the easier of the two matches, but I think they're both very difficult. So I'm not all that confident. I just think the Chiefs, Philly loves to play zone defense. If they sit in zone against Kansas City, it's over. I'm telling you, right, that is one thing I'll say. And literally, my producer's an Eagles fan. And as I was starting to say that sentence, he was like, because Jonathan Gannon loves zone. If they sit in a soft zone against Kansas City, good night. Like, they will score 40 points. You've got to use Bradbury, and you've got to use Slay and Man. That would be my 2 cents. Do you think the Chiefs are saving Hardman and Ronald Jones for bigger games? No, I don't. I think they're what they are. Do you think the Chiefs have to worry about the officials this week? Nope. I think the Chiefs have to worry about not beating themselves. John Jones. Hey, John, how you doing? Yes, they need Hardman. They were number 1 in the red zone until they lost him. And they went dramatically down from there for a little bit. Yeah, I mean, part of that is because of that Rams game where they were very bizarre in the red zone. They were like 1 of 5. They've been fine in the red zone for the most part otherwise. They've been fine. I mean, Mahomes had the one pick against Denver. I don't know. I think the Chiefs will be okay there. I really do. I really do. I know what you mean. You're not wrong. Like, the point's valid, but I think they'll be okay. Who's reffing the game? Sean Hockley is reffing the game. I think he's a good official. How highly do you think of Zach Taylor as a coach? Very highly. And I'll tell you what, he's also a quality human being. I remember interviewing Zach Taylor when he was an assistant with the Rams, when the Rams played the Patriots in that Super Bowl that I mentioned. And I remember asking him, when it's 30 seconds to game time and they're playing the anthem and you're standing on the sideline with your heart on your chest, what are you going to be thinking about? And he started talking about his family and he got very emotional. And I always had a lot of respect for Zach after that. And I got, we talked after that and just a lot of respect for the human. And I think he's an excellent coach. He's an excellent coach. He's a leader of men. Why is everybody so sure about KC and Philly anyway? I don't think anybody's sure about it. I think they're the number one seeds. Jonas, hey Matt, love the content, man. Thank you. I found this channel after last year's 38-20 Bills loss in week 5. I was trying to find answers for what happened to them. So glad I found this channel. I'm glad you did too. Thanks for being here. What did Tom Brady say to you after you interviewed him at the Super Bowl? I don't remember. I have it on my phone. I have the video of it. I just asked him about the game. I just asked him something about the game. I didn't remember what it was, to be honest with you. I'm sure I have the quote in my column. He was cool. He was good. Yeah, Tom was super professional, gave a thoughtful answer. I talked to Gronk. Gronk was much more affable, but I talked to Belichick. Belichick, you get that answer from Bill. We're going to go out there. We're going to do the best we can. So it's fun. It's cool. It's part of the gig. Oregon, who do you think will be the first media idiot who will say they think the Chokers will win the AFC West? And people will be tripping over themselves, and then they'll go 9-8. No idea who the first one is, but there will be a ton of them. Lawrence, KC has no pass defense. So they have the last handful of weeks. Granted, I totally understood that the defense has been benefiting from some lesser teams. But I will tell you right now, McDuffie's versatility and Karlaftis's better play is upswing in production. They're changing that entire defense, and the safety's playing a lot better. I absolutely agree. It's some of it for those out there say, hey, look, it's just because they haven't played tough teams lately. Fair enough. A lot of it, though, is because if you watch the film, they're so much better with the safeties over the last month. McDuffie playing in the inside and outside gives them that versatility. Karlaftis is winning one-on-ones now like crazy. Those are things that, you play a lesser team, but like film is film. And they are starting. It's why they shut down Seattle. It's why the Raiders, and I get Stidham. Stidham torched the Niners. They couldn't do anything against Kansas City in that game. There's a reason. All right. That's it. That's all I got today. We're at an hour. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Don't forget the BetMGM promo. Go to their website. The code is Arrowhead. You bet $10. Any of these teams in the divisional round score one touchdown, you win $200. It is a huge help to this podcast. It's a huge help to this channel. I can't express how much I'd appreciate if you go over there and do it. And as I said before, if you'd like more of my stuff, you can check out the Mocking Mock Drafts Wednesday segment. It goes up every week on fanside.com. And I tweet it out as well. I already tweeted it out. I'll probably do it again here in a little bit. So if you check it out, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much for all of your content. I will be back here tomorrow twice. Ian McMillan and I will be here in the morning talking betting and gambling at 11 o'clock Central Time. And then at 4:30, keep an eye out. It'll be myself and Sterling Holmes. Patrick Allen is out on Thursday. It'll be myself and Sterling talking Chiefs football, getting you ready for Saturday, the divisional round, the Chiefs, the Jaguars, in less than 100 hours from now. Talk to you soon.